It was a gun.
Not voting.
If we want to build our nation.
The problem with the Somalians.
Just want to experience something else than a black man.
Move on, move
Be like a horse with blinkers.
Honestly say, I was about to have sex and then I pulled
crap,
up.
but it's
Hi,
nice.
my name is Leanda Kavindele. I'm 20 years old and I study law and economics.
Hi, I'm Kwajo Furiawusu and I am a second year BCom Economics and Law student.
Tilden Helia, second year BSc Chemistry and Maths.
Tembilosi, 19, studying economics and law.
Hi, my name is Nick Corbett. I'm 20 years old and I'm studying economics and law.
I'm Sheni. My name is Nkata Komnisi. I'm a third year medical student, UCT. On paper, our law is beautiful, it's 100% there, but in reality, implementing it, it's obviously not there yet. A lot of people don't even know the basic human rights. Yes, you know, some people at school have the opportunity to be taught what rights you have as a child, but they don't know how to implement it, where to go about if your rights are infringed upon. And I mean, if I as a normal South African don't know what to do when my rights are infringed upon, is the law really working for me? Or is it just things being thrown at me?
We've all been to Home Affairs when we've lost an ID. Yeah. We've all been in that situation where you have to wait 6-7 months to get a simple ID process and that sort of thing. And I believe that, once again, on paper it's good, but in practice...
So it kind of sounds like it's a bit of a forward-looking constitution or a forward-looking law in a very backward, or in many ways backwards society.
The police are so corrupt that it's really a matter of just sorting out the issue within the community, using kangaroo courts, or really calling the police. They're inefficient, and most of the time you have to bribe them. I mean, it's ridiculous. People have lost hope in the police.
Well,
really. And there's no accountability. I really think there's no accountability for the police force.
But is that why the police are corrupt? Because of the lack of accountability?
Probably so.
It's easier to patrol Claremont as opposed to Guguletu, and the numbers of people and the sorts of crimes that go on there because of the poverty levels there. I mean, but I don't think that that's a reason to excuse police behavior and reason for them to become complacent, basically. I don't think that that's good enough, but then government needs to re-strategize. If they were able to strategize in terms of the World Cup and say, this is the number of people that we have coming in, this is what we need to do in order to ensure safety, surely if they make it a priority that they need to deal with the sort of issues that the townships deal with, which aren't going to go away anytime soon, they just need to sit down and strategize. I just don't think that they've made it enough of a, priority. And if they do, then I think that, things could change.
And I think if you're living under situations where you're constantly a victim of crime, and someone who's in high authority says shoot to kill, you're like, damn right, shoot to kill, because if you infringe on my right, is it not my right as well to get a retribution,
But another difference is, like, with politics, there's always some sort of agenda, as opposed to the law, which should be, consistent and constant and that sort of thing. So when some government official thinks that in the public eye, if he says no, it's right to shoot to kill, that would further some sort of agenda.
Yeah.
I think people need to be very, very careful when they say things like that, especially especially when you say something that's so popular like that. So, like, if a very famous person says something that's like racist or that's sexist or homophobic or whatever, the fact is that you're going to get a lot of people in society that are going to buy into that. One, because of the fact that many people in society might already have those feelings inside of them, and two, because of the fact that there's someone that's big out in the public eye that's saying it. Okay, then it's okay that I can also think it, and yes, it should be done. That's the kind of idea that many people will get.
It seems like, to me, the shoot to kill idea, it was like, we're not going to do that when we're in a criminal situation. The police aren't going to do that because it's not necessary. Now they feel it's necessary, so almost it takes it back to the prison. Like, prison wasn't enough. If you get caught doing an illegal act, you go to prison, but prison isn't a scary place anymore.
Evidently, the fact that we feel the need to have to shoot people, like Tilden was saying, is proof enough that we don't find jail a proper solution anymore. Like, it's evident. And people go to jail, they experience all these things, so you'd think they'd come out reformed, like, I will never do that again. But if people are doing that again, then evident, and knowing the risk of going back to the same place, then jail isn't enough.
So I think you're right in on the one side. Like I really do agree with you. Like with that there's a problem if jail isn't enough.
But
I think
advocating
that,
shoot to kill is not right. It's not the way to
we must just
deal with it.
we must be careful of glamorizing prison.
I know, but what do you think was the motive behind saying shoot to kill? Was it to lessen the amount of criminals, to just shoot them and like just ensure that they
way more
die?
at stake.
It's a populist.
If you're gonna do your job, do it right.
Do you do your job
Maybe it
right?
just happens to use a metaphor that's a bit too literal for
Yeah.
a police officer.
But I also think it's got such negative connotation because, you know, in like the black struggle, we used to say shoot to kill the white person. So I don't know. I think it was conjuring up some emotion. I don't know what the motive for saying shoot to kill was.
It's populist. It's like populousness. I don't know what the real word is for that, but like it's that. And it's dangerous, especially in a society where we want to try and instill law and order as something that everyone abides by, face value, not just. Oh, I must think about not breaking a law. It must be something like we must try and move to the point in our society where people don't have to think about not breaking a law. It just must come naturally, and perhaps that's a utopian thought.
Such an ideal.
But like,
I believe also that the police, especially in those areas, like we said, are very corrupt, very unregulated. So now, if you're going to instill shoot-to-kill mentality in their brains, but they're not even doing the proper investigations and all those things in order to know that when I'm shooting, I'm killing the right person, maybe that's where the law should come in and be like, well, you know what, shoot to kill, yes, but we are going to make sure that you did all you could to ensure that when you were shooting to kill, firstly it was the last option, and secondly that some sort of research or investigation had gone behind it. The law should be very tough on the people that shoot to kill. I think that's the role that
let's think about what kind of thing might come out of saying shoot to kill. If I'm a criminal and the police commissioner says to police shoot to kill, what am I going to think as a criminal? Oh, the cop is going to shoot to kill. Let me shoot him first. And I'm sorry, it's slippery slope mentality,
A lot of some of that mugging violence, that sort of thing, comes down to classism and economics. I really do believe that sometimes this violence associated with theft comes down to frustrations felt by the more poverty-stricken to people who are wealthy and who can afford things like that, fancy cars, fancy houses.
Poverty in some countries is so much greater than the poverty that you feel here. And even in Zambia, we're at a stage where we have some really wealthy people and some really poor people. If people are going to mug you, they don't feel the need to have to shoot you over a phone the way you find here. Like the sort of crimes that are being committed and the sort of, this petty crime, but what's accompanying it is big guns and shootings and things like that. I don't think that classism alone has to contribute to that because
classism arising from our past, our apartheid past.
Yes, and
definitely. Because the thing is, other countries never had that sort of system.
And
that's where the frustration comes from.
So then you would agree, but when I say that it comes from, like he was saying earlier, you're born out of a society of crime. The only way you know how to deal with situations like that is crime. Like if that's all you know and that's all that seemed to work, Soweto uprisings got you all the attention that you needed to change some things, and then everything else that came after that. That's the only way you know how to get attention. It's the only way you know how to be heard. You can't protest without burning tires because nobody's going to hear you. Therefore, that's that it's the norm. It's the norm.
We're not arguing that crime is very prevalent, but why is it violent? That's our concern. Have people lost their humanity?
That's exactly why.
I don't know that I agree with that, but I don't know that I can come up with an alternate. I'm not satisfied by that. That's what I'm saying. I'm not satisfied by that explanation. I really think that there's something else.
But you see,
and I'll try and think of that.
In a country like Zambia or whatever, if we try to burn tires, we just take you to jail. No one will applaud you. Everyone will think that is very stupid. Why was he doing that? Now people aren't going to listen to what he says. As opposed to here, where when someone does it, you identify with it.
They say, yeah.
You're going to say, you know what? We're in 1960s. We used to burn tires and they listened. Now we must burn tires and they'll listen again. And it's almost applauded by everybody else around them saying, yes, our children are doing what we did before and we're going to be heard. Whilst in our country, it's not that way at all.
But take it back to the question. I fail to see how that links into why when I'm going to come and take your cell phone in your pocket, I'm gonna gun you down 5 times in the chest.
You're desensitized to that sort of crime now. A lot of people are because it's something that they're used to seeing around them because that's how it was before.
The important thing is that it was so recent as well.
No, but there's war in so many countries, and their crimes are not as violent as
They
we are.
didn't have apartheid.
I don't think burning tires equates to shooting someone when you're simply mugging them for their cell phone. I can't believe
And let's say America, you have someone who goes, like a poverty-stricken citizen, who goes and mugs a first-class citizen, right? Let's just have that. Then let's take the same parallel in South Africa, right? There is that history, that very recent history of you are richer than I, you oppressed me, and I believe that I should punish you, type thing. I think.
Okay, can I just first reply to what you said before? Maybe I just understood history wrong, I don't know. But like a lot of the protests that happened during apartheid weren't meant to be violent. There were actually protests that happened, but when the police came in, they started throwing gas in, and obviously people were retaliating by being violent. It was never meant to be violent.
And then it grew more violent from
No, it was never meant to be. But I feel, I just want to say this before, I don't know if this is an explanation or whatever, but I feel like the reality of why we're violent is because it's all about power. When someone rapes a 3-year-old child, you can't tell me no, they were sexually frustrated. What is a 3-year-old child going to do for your sexuality? It's power. Yes, our power play may have to do with apartheid, but the reason we're more violent at the end of the day is all about a power play.
Perhaps we could bring it down to education on some level, because people who, if they are desensitized on some level, Tembi, or if some sort of grounding education teaches you values and things you never knew you really had inside of you, and you only really can compare if you can all of a sudden become an uneducated individual who has nothing. I feel education is a core thing here, and there's a lack of.
I think I'm going to throw out my own theory, because I remember I said that I wasn't agreeing with you, but I didn't. But this is just maybe a thought. Perhaps it has to do with the fact that we are such an unequal society.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If you think about it, if we've got, say, one of the highest crime rates in the world, another thing which we're the highest in is we've got the highest inequality in the world. We've got the highest Gini coefficient. Perhaps it is more linked towards that, and the frustration that comes with being such an unequal society.
I agree with that. I completely agree with that. But then again, I would credit that to why there is so much crime, but not necessarily to why there's so much violence.
I think so. I'm going to say that the violence comes into it, where it's frustration and the power power thing. That's like how I'd put it back.
And then if you go back, where does that stem from? Apartheid, which is really I promise you, it all goes back to that. It really does. My dream is to be working in a company that gives me the opportunity to travel a lot. I really feel like I have to see the world. That really matters to me. I do want to go back to Zambia eventually one day and develop my country, but it's a hard job. It's something that I would really love to do.
My dream is to get involved in international politics and international relations, and somehow make it possible for South Africa to be able to get to that level where we are as great a society as we can be, and see how we can do that at least from an international point of view.
Financial stability was the first ideal for me. Second is likely just to travel at some point. And that'll be my dream.
My dream is to finish what I started, so do my master's in economics and travel, but ultimately I want to come back to South Africa and start up social entrepreneurship, really build up this concept, of sustainable businesses, so that we find that many South Africans are very skilled, but we don't use our skills in creating sustainable businesses. So if we spark that, and if we give hope to people who have the skills, give them the capacity and the motivation and the resources, South Africa is going far.
It's my dream to see myself working in a position where I can give back using my talents, working with people who have other talents. We've seen here that we all have different opinions and different views and different standpoints and opinions and that sort of thing. And the only good that can come of that is bringing it all together.
Well, my dream is that obviously in a few years' time I'm still alive in one piece, no violent crime. But I may be studying medicine, but I've got so much more that I'd like to do in this world that is not restrained to that. many other talents I'd like to explore. But what I'd like for it to come out at the end of the day is that I make anyone, in fact, many people realize that we're all more than just civvies. We're all more than just a simple civilian. What you have, you should use to the best. Whatever you do to the best of your ability. Because in this world, we shouldn't have constraints. We should be able to see how much more we can do. That's what I'd like to bring back to this world, my dream.